This TOCOL case is one of the cheapest ones in my collection. This thing has a couple of red flags from my perspective, but this case is like super duper fresh gas station sushi. This thing's not bad if you're on a budget and you really want sushi. I'm testing 50 cases to find the best 5. This is case number 16 out of 50. Because I'm a reviewer, not an influencer, for the iPhone 17s, my scoring system is based on what the iPhone actually feels when it hits the ground on its corner, on its face, as well as on its camera lump. Each case gets dropped 30 times. So when I say it's terrible, it's because I've got the data to back it up. Now this case makes me chuckle because TOCOL did the bare minimum for this product. It's like do the very least and hope for the best. The finish on this product isn't terrible, it's not great, it's super slick. The camera area is protected by a piece of polycarbonate. I got some reservations about this. Build quality isn't great. You'll notice that TOCOL still uses the full Magsafe array. Most cases cut this part out so that you can see the Apple logo. TOCOL decided, yeah, no, we're not doing that. This case is gonna add 35 grams to the weight of your iPhone. That is way below the average of 50. And in terms of bulk, the size of this case is only going to increase your iPhone by about 45%. This is a good amount. Now when it comes to like using your iPhone in the case, the buttons are integrated into the edge of the case so they're super squishy. But there is a button for the camera control, which is sweet, until you realize it sits flush to the edge of the case. So there's almost no way for you to figure out where this button is. Like that's a frickin' cardinal sin in my book. But again, do the bare minimum and hope for the best. But then you've got this feature which, they chamfered the port part so when you prop it up with your pinky, it doesn't cut into your pinky. That's a good feature, but like everything else, like why? When it comes to a MagSafe strength, it takes 10.6 newtons to pull things off. Push is 10.9 newtons. These values are very average. Oh, I read my script wrong. They are actually better than average. Yay! Now in terms of protective design, the corners are 1.9 millimeters thick. The back is 1.5 millimeters. That puts it in the same range in terms of size for the Apple silicone case. This case does have very small air pockets in the corners. You can barely see them. In terms of rigidity, the polycarbonate backs, these are connected through a floppy piece of TPU. Again, cheaper to do that than make a whole thing of polycarbonate. To bend it 8 mils in my test, it took 19.3 newtons. That is 34% worse than average. Let's talk about protection, and this is where it kind of gets weird to me. For corner drops, this thing saw 9.4 Gs at the moment of impact. That's 9% better than average. But despite having very, very thin TPU corners, the settling rate was 34% worse than average. But because the initial corner drop was below average, total force going to the iPhone was 7% better. And I say this case is interesting because there is almost nothing there. It is the bare minimum in terms of TPU and stuff. It doesn't do too poorly. When it came to face first drops, the initial impact was 16% better. Total force was better by about 20%. But the settling rate, red marker, was slower by about 46%. Those values kind of don't make any sense to me. So same story, eats the initial impact very well, settles down much slower, but the total force is smaller because it eats the initial impact very well. And when it comes to dropping it on the camera lump, it was a completely different story. 16% worse than average for the initial, 16% worse for the settling rate, and the total force was 10% higher. So the trend that I'm seeing with cases with a polycarbonate back is that dropping it on the backside actually isn't very good. So this part shouldn't be hard, it should be soft. So would I get this case if I wasn't a reviewer? No, because I have more than $12 to spend on a case. Like, this isn't a terrible case, but the build quality is lacking. Like, there's a bit of a gap right here. It does wear out pretty quickly. This is the corner drops, I think. Yeah, and it's pretty scuffed up. But in reviewing this case, I kind of learned that the bare minimum for a protective iPhone case is to have a very thin TPU bumper. I'm on a mission to figure out what the best iPhone cases are. I'm testing 50 to figure out the best 5. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and check back regularly because the moment I'm done making and editing this video, I'm just gonna go post it. Thanks for watching.